Trump likes autocracy. Trump praises authoritarianism. We have 5.7 billion people living under authoritarianism, and people don't want to believe me. That's fine, but I know he wants to be part of that access of autocracy. So he would like to be a North American dictator. He thinks it's a cleaner way of running things. Of course, he knows better and his minions know better. We could never figure it out, and maybe you have an answer for me. What is the hold that Vladimir Putin has on Donald Trump? I couldn't figure it out when I worked for him. H.R. McMaster, none of us could figure it out. What do you think it is?
It's a really good question. It's something I have spent many years reporting on, obsessing over, developing my own theories on. There is a widespread belief that they've got a file on him. I mean, I'm sure the Russians have a file on me, having lived there for a number of years. I don't know. I think it's primarily his admiration for Putin as a authoritarian leader. I think he views him as a strong man.
Right.
I think it's more about he sees the world in a similar way as Putin does. But it is remarkable how he was very supportive of, say, sanctions against Iran and Venezuela, but when it came to sanctions against Russia, he was very opposed at crucial turning points. And there's something about that equation that just doesn't add up without another explanation.
It doesn't seem like they really met each other prior to the presidency either. I mean, there's no documentation of them meeting. Even when he went to Moscow for the America or the Universe pageant, or whatever it was, the beauty pageant, I'm not sure which one it was, but it didn't seem like they met then either. So none of us can figure this out. But man, he never says a bad word about Vladimir Putin, never once. And obviously, Mr. Trump has told many of us that he wants to pull out of NATO. Mr. Trump has told many of us that the way to end the war with the Ukraine is just give up the Ukrainian territory to the Russians. It's complicated. You and I both know this because the Ukrainians gave up their nukes in exchange for peace and security guarantees from the West. And so it's just an interesting thing. And I tell my friends, okay, so let me get this straight. Finland and Sweden, they're bordering Russia. 74 years, they didn't join NATO. On the 75th year, they joined. What does that tell you? There's smart people in those areas. They're worried about Vladimir Putin encroaching upon their land and besmirching their sovereignty. This is a guy that wants to stay in power and project warfare. It's an Orwellian idea because it keeps him in power and it keeps the people through nationalism supporting him. What am I missing? Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. And I think that the interesting thing about a possible Trump second term is how is he going to deal with Putin a second time around?
You're going to give him what he wants.
Give him what he wants.
You're going to give him what he wants. Yep.
And
give him what he wants.
I've looked at the various people that are around Trump who are talking about a possible Ukraine solution. I'd actually be curious what you think, because from my reporting, there are people like Mike Pompeo who have come out very strongly in support of Ukraine and the defense of Ukraine. But from what I understand, Trump is not listening to people like Mike Pompeo.
No. Trump likes autocracy. Trump praises authoritarianism. We have 5.7 billion people living under authoritarianism, and people don't want to believe me. That's fine, but I know he wants to be part of that access of autocracy. So he would like to be a North American dictator. He thinks it's a cleaner way of running things. Of course, he knows better, and his minions know better. There's a gentleman by the name of 𝗕cie𝗵𝗃, Y-A-R-V-I-N. I would suggest that you look him up. He is a philosopher, political philosopher that believes that our democracy is messy and obsolete, and there should be a group of oligarchs and a monarchical figure running the country. And so J.D. Vance is an acolyte of this man, Peter Thiel, and these are the guys that are now surrounding Donald Trump, writing things like Agenda 47, writing things like Project 2025. And it's about being white, Stephanie. If you really want me to tell you, we're white. This is their messaging. You mean black and brown people? There's going to be more of those people than the white people? Yes. Okay, so that means that black and brown people could actually run the country because of the way the demographics work? Yes. Okay, well, we don't want that. We want white people to run the country. So let's change the rules. We no longer want the democracy. That's the message. Okay. And by the way, because there's a Cassandra effect on this, you tell people the truth, and the truth is so startling, they don't want to believe the truth. Okay. But I would rather tell the truth because I've got 5 children and I love my country. The country's been very good to me. I made a mistake supporting him because I didn't see all of this malevolence in the beginning. I have to own that for the rest of my life, but that's who he is. And that's what he wants. And that's why your book is so fascinating, by the way, because he's not a great reader, but if he read your book, he would steal items out of your book that Putin has done. He would try to use them in the United States.
Absolutely. And I think it's dangerous that if he does what he says he wants to do, which is end the war in 24 hours, which is a ridiculous notion, it's something he has not spelled out. Undoubtedly, as part of that, to induce Putin to agree to some sort of ceasefire would be lifting of the sanctions, because Putin needs some breathing room right now. He needs some space to rearm.
Give it to him because he's also a money man. He figures, he'll get a bribe.
Exactly.
He'll get some money from Putin. There'll be a Trump Tower in Moscow someday, something like that. Or they'll send money to a Dubai bank account that he can benefit from. And, it's astonishing that we have a group of people that are responsible Americans that don't see it clearly.